You don't have to change like that.
Right.
But it's the fact that you're trying to change.
How I was brought up, we talk realness. We talk about all the uncomfortable things that make you uncomfortable, because if you feel uncomfortable, then you get convicted. And when you get convicted, that shows your love for God, right?
He's in the neighborhood with blessings at this point, is what I'm thinking.
Why would he break a promise starting with you at all people? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of Uncomfortable Convos. My bad for the setup, not saying the setup trash or whatever, because all I need to do is hear the word and hear what we are talking about within this moment. You feel me? I have a special guest here, my boy TJ.
Yeah, my name is TJ. I'm just glad to be here. Talk about the word of God and my experience. To how it helped me find my way back to God. Actually, So hopefully this message find someone out there who actually is going through the struggle with finding themselves through Christ, and actually know that it's okay to sacrifice the things that aren't needed, and that if you just listen to God in your heart, everything will work out perfectly fine.
Yeah, we were just having a conversation outside, like a long conversation, probably like an hour, yeah, and some change, and both of our spirits just chop it up, put it on a podcast. So you actually started your own podcast of your own, so it's just good that we were able to flow within conversation and kind of pick on our conversation. We talked about you being a party promoter and how you were balanced, and how you're quote unquote balancing being a party promoter and being a follower of Christ. So did you want to pick up and talk about that?
Yeah. So basically, yes, I am a party promoter. I do party promote and things like that. But one thing that God told me is whatever you do within that party promoting, make sure it's a reflection of yourself and how you carry yourself. Right. Because how you carry yourself and your image within Christ, other people will look at you and see okay, dang, he doing all this, but he also does this too. Right,
and that's what I just told you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how do you feel like God told you that?
How that conversation came with God was just I was in my room one day, and I was just I was just in my own little world thinking, and all of a sudden this question came into my head, and I asked God, I say, so
what was the question?
But the question that I wanted to ask was, does me being a party promoter and finding my way back to Christ, how would that kind of affect people, how my message, and people would look at me from the outside? And he told me, he was don't worry about what people think, worry about what's best for you and what you know that you're doing right within me to help benefit yourself and grow yourself to get closer to me. So what I did, I took that and I became more vigilant when I'm at parties. Even though a lot of people do see me at parties, I'm becoming more vigilant when intoxicated. I'm learning, it's okay to, know your limit, because please, if you know your limit while at a party, your vigilance and how you observe people and you see things, you'd be wow, this really goes on when you're at your right state of mind.
I think you should abstain from it at all, especially if you feel like God has called you to be on that point. Be the brightest light you can. Don't try to dim a light in any shape or fashion. Mm-hmm. Be the brightest light you can to anybody, because people are looking at you as a reflection of Christ, thinking that they not be profound or stepping within their faith, and they think, oh, TJ, I see you post Bible, verse every here and there. I see what you were doing a little bit on campus. You a Christian, right? You doing this? I see you doing that. For sure, I'm gonna start doing that, because I have nobody to teach me or nobody to follow. So I'm gonna follow out the TJ and his actions, because in a sense, Jesus is not a hero within the flesh, how we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. So some people try to make Jesus their own different people. You could be a Jesus to somebody. You are a reflection of the Bible. So sometimes you are somebody's only Bible that they're able to read. So by all means, with any shape or fashion, the way you talk, I said the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself is a reflection of Christ, because people are waiting for that one slip up to go and bounce and pivot. Without that, you can't eat at the devil's table and eat at the God's table. The food, it gets cross-contaminated. I'm starting to pick up on different things and pick up traits. I'm picking up the devil's chicken leg and bringing it to God's table and trying to pass it to one of my partners. It don't work like that. One's over there and one's over here. Both does not mix. and salt and sugar can look the same to somebody. Salt and sugar look exactly the same. If I put salt right here in this hand and sugar right in this hand, put together and shake it up and point it out. If I tell you, point out 5 grains of salt and point out 5 grains of sugar,
You won't be able to.
and it'll be very, 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 very small for you to do so, right? Because they look the same and they point out the same. So when you're carrying God's image, don't try to be the same as anybody else, but to stand out and be the light of God, because somebody's looking for that one slip up, or somebody's looking for that one thing for you to fail. And it's all right, because we're going to fall. But guess who picks us up? God. He said, a righteous man going to fall 7 times and stand up 8 times. He said, we may stumble, we will not fall, because he is holding our right hand. And his right hand will bring us, because he is strong. He's our stronghold. He's our safety. He's our everything in between. So don't put yourself in a position for you to dim your light, or for somebody to follow after a miscorrection. And of course, we are human. Of course, we have our own human desires. But to do it publicly, it's kind of like playing within God's face in a way, if that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And to piggyback off what you said, I had a couple people, in during the summertime, I was going out, having fun, but I also made sure that I posted a Bible quote every day to make sure that my day would you start your day off good with a Bible quote.
Yeah.
I kid you not, nothing can ruin your day, because you're thinking about the message that God is saying within that quote.
You can apply it throughout that day.
And applying it throughout the day. So when I wake up in the morning, or at least when I try to wake up every morning when I'm going to class, I try to, go on my phone, go on Instagram and post that Bible quote. Because if you post that Bible quote and you actually read it, somebody can look at your story and be like, I actually needed this. And then next thing you know, they're reposting you.
Right.
But as long as you stand firm with yourself, and then your faith with God, nothing can change, nothing can bring you down, no matter what you go through. There's people out here, who are struggling, and it's like, dang, they're asking themselves, what can I do to become better? And really, all you have to do is just trust in your faith with God, trust in your heart, and whatever He's telling you, listen. That's all I really can say is listen, because if you don't listen, you can end up in predicaments of doing things that if you would have been more patient about, things would have worked out different. Like with me, I say for that a good example with that would be my car. I feel like
and talk about your car and about all other different things that have been taxing on and putting you in different seasons to draw you away from God.
Yeah, so like I say for me with that situation with my car, and how me and my friends, we would go out, party and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I was at one kickback in the View where I stayed last year, and I went, but lucky for me, I was able to walk home, so I knew I was gonna be safe walking home. Yeah. So when I got home, I let my cousin use my car because they wanted to come back over here and throw another party. So everybody's in the car. Mind you, by this time I'm sobered up, so I was like, cool, I'll drop everybody off. By the time I get outside the gate, my tire literally popped. And I was like, God, why is this happening to me now? I just, brand new tire, just got it, it's not even a month old, literally just got it. Yeah. From my prior accident with my car when I was leaving the mall from hanging out with one of my homegirls. Yeah. And we coming back, I had to go out on the freeway, so I had to call my cousin to come get me and things like that. And so as I'm calling my cousin, he's asking me do you have a jack? And mind you, at this time, I'm still learning about cars. I had this car for 2.5 years, so I'm still learning how to take care of the car, how to maintenance and things like that. Yeah. And I didn't even know jacks can be so old where you have to get a thing and you actually have to turn it and screw it. I never seen a jack like that because my cousins always had the ones that you just easily push. My grandpa has the ones you easily push when I'm changing my tires and stuff. So I'm just like, okay, I do have a dummy in the back of my car, so I'm gonna just, see what's wrong with that, my previous pop tire, and try to drive home slowly and make it home safely, In that moment, I just thank God that I actually made it off the freeway and made it home safely. Yeah. Because I was scared. I have never been in that type of predicament. Yeah. And I was like, my best thing I can do is call for help and let my people know what's going on. Right. Make sure and let them know that I'm okay. Right.
And that's traits as a man that we got to take on for ourselves. When we are at our lowest, we feel like we can't call our homeboys, call our daddy, call our mama, or whoever it may be. Call on God within a moment. Be vulnerable. He wants your heart more than anything. No matter what type of struggle you're going through, what type of pain you're going through, you could be in the worst of the worst, and you feel like, God, I done you so wrong, or you feel like maybe it was I didn't do God wrong. It's just, why does it keep happening to me? Me. It's always me. But then you find ways to God, and then that peace and that joy that He gives you is just boom. It just brightens your whole mood, and you come to realize the worst was never the worst, because I was on that freeway, but by the grace of God, I still made it.
I still made it home. Right. And I was literally, as I'm driving slowly on the freeway, like, I see cars flying past me, like, of course, you having a blowout and your other tire is not really fully developed, because it had a puncture hole in it in the inside, so it blew in the inside of the rim, and the rim was bent. So I couldn't get that tire fixed. So it's like I'm rolling on this dummy tire, and I'm seeing cars flash, like, literally speeding past me, and I'm like, I just literally closed my eyes, I played gospel music all the way home, and I just thank God for making it home safely. And even when every time I got on the freeway, I always thank God for making it home safely, no matter what was going on, where I was either going back home to Houston to see my mom, my parents, spend time with my family, or coming back, going to the outlet mall, making sure I needed stuff for school, like groceries and stuff like that. But I say all that to say this now, like, I am grateful that I don't have a car right now. I'm very grateful, because it showed me that, it was a distraction. And distractions can set you off course from your main goal that God has for you. So me not having my car is like the best thing I can really ask for, because, it's not hard to like ask people for rides. Of course it's gonna suck, because people know that you used to have a car, and people are gonna ask you what happened. But in my case, I just look at it as a blessing, because God was telling me right then and there, like, you don't need a car right now. Your time is not right. Your time will come.
Right.
And so.
And so, what do you feel like? Of course, you learn within that moment that you don't need a car, and that your time will come. You learn to be patient. What do you feel like the biggest thing that you learned within the season right now, with being a new school year, with you battling and going through all different things? Like, we chopped it up. I don't know if you just want to briefly say it, but like the situations with different females or different people and all these different things. So like, what do you feel like God has been preparing you through all that into this next season right now, being a junior in college, and like you said earlier, you might have to stay a little longer due to your situation and everything like that?
So I feel like God really put me through that to test me, to see how I would react. And of course, I had, not so good reactions, but my comebacks were way better, for the simple fact, because, of course, when stuff like that happens, you get mad and you want to do something about it, knowing that you really can't do it. So, of course, all you can do is ask for help. But within that moment, of course, you're going to break people's hearts and stuff like that. But the only way for you to heal, properly heal, and work on yourself is if you cut off all the negativity that's been dragging you down. Like, for example, me and this girl were talking, but she got mad at me because I went to hang out with my friends who I haven't seen since my freshman year.
Right.
And I was like, I felt some type of way, because it's like, you're getting mad at me for hanging out with people I haven't seen in almost a year. And I communicated that with her and let her know, like, it's not like I didn't communicate or, didn't say anything to her. I communicated with her, said, hey, I'm gonna eat lunch with them. I'll call you when I'm heading back to the crib.
Right.
So as I'm, shopping up with them, she texts me, it kind of felt like I was being rushed. So the best thing for me to do in that situation was, go to the crib so she can get her stuff, and we'll talk about it later. Because one thing you don't want to do when somebody's mad at you or you mad at that person is to say something that you're going to regret, because it could either really hurt the friendship, or it could make the friendship stronger. But at the end of the day, you just gotta be straight up honest with that person and let them know. Even if it takes time, even if the situation is bigger than what it is, give that person space to breathe, because if you don't give that person space to breathe, they gonna feel like, you know, pressure to just like, you know, pressure keeps building up and it keeps rising,
Right.
and you don't want that in any type of situation.
Yeah.
So your best bet is just like distance yourself,
Right.
give them time to cool down,
Right.
you cool down,
Yeah.
and then y'all talk about it, have a mature conversation, actually figure out what's going on.
Sure.
And we had a conversation. I asked her what she had, and she told me she was mad because I hung out with my homeboys, and I kind of felt some type of way. It kind of hurt me, because it's like, dang, like the amount of times I, you know, I let you hang out with, you know, your homegirls and stuff like that, and you know, you'll call me just because, you know, you miss me, and I make time out of my schedule, my busy architectural schedule, just to like make sure I spend time with you, and then, you know, make sure you are good, and then to make sure that the relationship is good, it's not toxic, it's headed in the right direction, you know, things are developing, you know, taking our time. And that's for you to just like say that, it kind of hurt. And in that moment, God was like, you know, it's not for you. So what did I do? We had a conversation. I told her what it was. I told her that, you know, I understand that, you know, you going through what you're going through from the past relationship.
Right.
You need time to heal. And I'm going through what I'm going through within myself personally. And I need time to heal myself.
Right.
And, you know, she cried. Like, I seen her cry as I was getting ready to leave from the conversation. That I felt bad. Like, I felt bad emotionally, because, you know, I don't like doing that to people in general. And it's like, it kind of hurt, kind of stuck with me, because it's like, dang, like, I really broke her heart.
Yeah.
But it's nothing I can really do about it, because I did it in the best way possible. I didn't raise my voice at her. We didn't argue.
Right.
I just told her straight up and honestly, you know, how I felt. And, you know, she respected it. We moved on.
Nothing but respect is real.
And even with my other situation with my homegirl and stuff like that, when we were cool, you know, she was staying at my crib and stuff like that. And I got like, my mental health got so bad to the point where it's just like, I felt like dimmed in my own house. Like, whatever I said didn't matter. And I told her, I said, you got till this day to get all your stuff. But before I told her that, like, not trying to come off mean or anything, I said it nicely the day before and said, hey, can you come please grab your stuff and things like that?
Yeah.
And because, like, I'm trying, you know, I can't deal with it no more. Like, my mental health is more important than, you know, what you got going on. Not saying the stuff she had going on wasn't important, but I felt like, for me in that time frame, I needed to work on myself and needed that space for me to heal properly, to be able to address the situation. It didn't end perfectly. Not gonna lie. She said some things that she, you know, probably meant to say, that she probably been holding back and stuff like that. But did I let it affect me? No.
Right.
I just called. Her cousin called me. I took her stuff, put it in the car, and I went to class.
Right on.
And then what I did was, after that, was I called my cousin. I told him, like, hey, you know, I did it. I feel like I'm at peace. And I told him the situation that happened. He knew about the situation. And he was like, bro, that's the most maturest way I've seen you handle something. And like, literally, the most maturest way I've seen you handle something. I said, the only way I can handle it is, the only way I handled that situation was God, because the devil was tempting me that day. Like, all the names he was calling me, you know, of course I got mad, but what did I do? I took my deep breath, started listening to my gospel music, and I said, I'm not gonna let this ruin my day, because that's just negative energy I don't need in my life. And that's what I did.
And with all that being said, like, so how would you put it within one sentence of how God's preparing you in this season right now?
So in this season, God is preparing me to be more patient and vigilant, and just really trusting Him, believing Him, and just like lean on Him, because I felt, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, like, I did fall out of Christ. I fell out of Christ. Like, and the only way I was able to get back in was just with, like, you know, having the support.
And what do you mean you fell out of Christ?
Like, during COVID, like, before COVID hit, I was going to church and everything.
Yeah.
I read my Bible every day. I had my
And that don't make you more than a Christian than what I am.
yeah. I was reading my Bible every day. You know, because it's like, not saying I felt the pressure, but it's like I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
So me growing up in the church, and like at that age, growing up, seeing how the adults did it, and me wanting to be like, you know, those Christians, and seeing how my pastor was, and like how he would explain it and break it down for the younger generation to actually understand what he's talking about, made me feel at home. And it's like a lot of my other pastors, like they didn't do it how like most of my other pastors would do it.
So when you get to the point where you feel that at first?
When COVID hit, I wasn't able to go to church.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, I have to, you know, it was kind of hard for me to like do church at home.
Yeah. So would you say it was like more like cold season, or are you like, what are you saying? Are you saying you lost your salvation? Or are you saying?
No, it was more so like a cold season.
Okay, sure,
Yeah, it was more so of a cold season. Like it was really hard for me to read my Bible.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, dang, like I really need to be in the presence of God. Like I need to feel the presence of God in the church in order for me to like, you know,
Did your mind change from there, or do you still feel that way? Do you feel like you feel the presence of God in the church, or?
I mean, it changed a lot once I started coming to school. I realized that it's okay to actually talk to people who's actually, you know, in Christ. It's okay to like open up about different things, because I was afraid to open up when I like all through high school I didn't talk about my faith or anything. I kept it to myself. People knew I went to church. And I always got questions asked like, why do you go to church on Saturday? I was like, because I'm a 7-day Adventist, and we go to church on Saturday because we believe that, you know, Sunday is the rest day, because that's when God, you know, He laid for our sins.
Right.
So we go the day before, and so it's just like, you know, and even on Saturday.
I would encourage you to read Galatians. Read Galatians 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Chapter.
Galatians.
I got you.
Galatians 2 and 3. And that'll answer and clear your questions of you. So do you still practice the Sabbath and protect the Sabbath?
Yeah, I protect the Sabbath.
I'll read Galatians 2 and 3 for y'all. And just to go off there, I can't quote off the top of my head right now. Oh, I got my Bible with me right now. Hold on. I got my Bible with me. Never lacking, check. Never lacking. But basically, what you call it, for people that practice the law, it basically says you are under a curse. Because to fulfill the law, you have to be perfect. No one can practice every single law. No one can do that. To be down to the T, you have to literally be perfect, and that's why Jesus came to fulfill the law and abolish the law. If we follow the law, Christ died for nothing. What was the point of Christ? What was the price coming if we came to?
It's making sense.
And to read off that, hold on, let me find it right here. It says in Galatians 2. Galatians 2. Galatians, I'm just reading Galatians 21. I do not set aside the grace of God, for if righteousness could be gained through the law, Christ died for nothing. I do not set aside the grace of God, for if righteousness could be gained through law, Christ died for nothing.
I can explain it. Like just me hearing it and you reading it, I can already interpret what that means.
And what does it mean to you?
And what it means to me is that basically what that verse is saying is that the human world basically has their own laws. And that, you know, basically saying within the human world, God basically, the things that is going on in the human world, and it's like a reflection of God, it's like, dang, He died for nothing. But in the spiritual world, it's saying that, you know, He didn't die for nothing, because of course in the spiritual world we don't have to deal with the laws, because God is the law. But in the human world we have to obey the law because of things within the world like the crime rate and everything, but also make sure that you add this presence of God within the real world, because if you add the presence of God and you obey the law within the human world, everything would be smoothly because you listen to God and what God had to say and how do you handle the situation.
Right. I'm kind of catching you at the same time. I'm kind of lost. You can like break it down a different way.
So basically, what it's saying is that, you know,
And you also have to keep in mind the context of this. He's writing to people that were coming against him and his faith. You're familiar with Paul, right? And how he was saw persecuting Christians, and he did like a complete 180 from the place where he was running down on Christians, persecuting and killing them. He went to go preach, and he was saying in the end of chapter 1, it says, verse 22 to 24. I was personally unknown to the churches of Judea that are in Christ. They only heard the report. The man who formerly persecuted us is now preaching the faith once he tried to destroy it. And they praise God because of it. He's not saying that to exalt himself, but he's saying that I could reach people the same way that God used me in my brokenness and my emptiness. I came to God. It's by the grace of God I am who I am. Galatians 2:20 talks about it is no longer me, but Christ who lives through me because of everything that happened. And he's writing this to the people because people are still trying to follow the laws, they're protecting the Sabbath, all these different things. God died for all of that. Everything is clean. Everything is right for us to do. But for the people that are following the law, if being righteous was gained through following the law, Christ died for nothing. He mentions Abraham and the importance of Abraham because he's known as the man of faith, right? His righteousness was gained through following the law, or listening to everything the Pharisees or whoever the righteous leaders were. It came through Christ and his faith by Christ alone. So when he's saying in Galatians 2:21, I do not set aside the grace of God. I'm not finna set aside the grace of God because of what he did within my life. And if you know anything about Paul, in all of his letters, he mentioned the grace of God because it's by the grace of God we are saved. We're not saved by works. We're not saved by practicing the law. We're not saved by doing all these excess things. It don't matter how many times you read your Bible, TJ. It don't matter how many times you go to church, what pastor you listen to. As long as you don't know the word for yourself, it don't mean nothing because we are saved by the grace of God. I mean, even if you are saved by the grace of God, it doesn't matter how many times you pray, how many times you fast, how many times you get up, how many times you die. I can come to Christ right now, and if I truly repent, if I truly give my life, and I truly have the grace of God within me, I am truly saved. So when you're saying I do not set aside the grace of God, for it is righteousness could be gained through if righteousness could be gained through the law, Christ died for nothing. So Christ is not dying for nobody. My bad. Christ died for everybody, but it's saying that Christ didn't die for people just to follow the law when he came to fulfill the law.
Yeah,
you understand that now?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying that basically God died for everybody.
Right.
Even if basically saying like, even if you know, God basically, now that I've heard you break it down a little bit more, I can interpret it from my perspective a little bit better. So I'm basically saying that basically God did die for everybody.
Right.
And you can do basically anything. Like you can start your life off totally in the wrong direction. Right. But once you find that faith, like in God, your whole life can change because you following the faith of God, because you ask for help, you ask for forgiveness.
And we are called from the beginning. We are called from the beginning. So our story of going through all these different things, from building stepping stones to standing and climbing up the stairs, is only but God holding us and pushing us until the day of completion. Because each day is a day near salvation, and I don't know when that day is going to come. But what I do know is that I'm finna get right with God before it does come.
Yeah, I definitely understand it a lot better, and I definitely gonna read those chapters.
And see, I can't even. I forgot the point why you even brought that up. We were talking about.
Oh, you talking about how like cold when I got cold.
Yeah. So all right. Not to unwrap your story, or not to skip past your story, but what was the point and what helped you get back to igniting that fire back for God and not just staying in that cold season?
What really got me back was just like, the things that I was doing,
And when did it start? Because I know
it started my freshman year.
You got of college.
Yeah.
So 2023.
Yeah, summer 20. Yeah, not summer 2023.
Fall
2023 when school actually started It dawned on me, and I realized, like, dang, the stuff that I'm doing, it's not something I'm comfortable with. I have to make adjustments within myself to make sure that, like, I got myself back to God, because it's like He's watching my every move, and it's just like the more He was watching the stuff that I was doing, the more I felt like a heavy weight on my shoulders, and the more that weight got heavier with every decision that I made. I realized, like, I feel like I barely could, like, stand up. I barely could, really walk. And then I say what really kind of hit the nailing point was, like, last school year, spring semester, I was on the way to class, and I remember eating, taking my medicine and stuff like that. And I made sure I drank water. I had like 3 bottles of water before I even got to class. I got to class, as soon as I stepped outside the gate, I almost passed out. Like,
this was freshman year?
No, this was junior year.
Oh, so like,
yeah, like I literally.
You skip past the story.
I mean, not junior year, but like, I feel like with freshman year, basically.
Wait, so did they have a freshman year or what?
It's basically twice. It happened twice.
They have a freshman year?
No, so it was. My bad, y'all. I am skipping ahead. So my freshman year,
you supposed to get to the point of how you came to God.
Yeah, freshman year.
I came to God, but like
how I got out of my cold season.
Right.
My freshman year, how I got out was, just basically making connections with people. Having the right people around me.
Right. And you want to know something crazy? For the viewers that's watching, TJ was kind of part of the foundation of just starting what God has us doing on this movement, and that's nothing to exalt him or exalt me or anybody else who did it, but it's nothing but Christ that did it through us. And of course, I'm not gonna say we were super tight back then, but just to see you be open and want to have that Bible study, and how we're able to do it, and just keep inviting people to see your spirit and what you call it. It's not to call you out or anything, to see you kind of drift away and not come around. You don't have to go to come Bible study and say it. I'm not saying not to do that, but just by the fruits that I've been seeing and everything. That's why I reached out to you over the summer, and how I've been staying connected to you throughout random seasons throughout. And every time I feel like I reached out to you, it was always something. And I feel like God, I mean not God, the devil and the enemy is just tugging on your spirit, trying to pull your connection away from God, because it's clear that you have a mind and a heart for God, but the enemy does not want that for you. He comes around like a roaring lion, trying to devour you and trying to pull you away any chance that you got. That's why it says in First Peter to be sober minded, to have an open mind, to be vigilant. How I talked about earlier, how we talked about earlier within this couch, just to be aware of what's going on, because a lot of things we can't see and don't have access to because we move within the flesh rather than within the spirit. Is a whole different world. I'm not finna say when I'm walking within the spirit, moving within the spirit, I see an angel right here talking to me, just sitting right next to me, and I see all these different things, but you start to see and move differently because the authorities or principalities formed against you are starting to work harder and harder. The more we work hard for Christ, the more they're gonna work harder. And be like, dang, I see this type of asset. He trying to get a mass treasure from God. I'm finna double the offer from that, as he can work for us. And we have to discern and clear our mind and set our things above for him to do the work through us. Because within that moment, and with us starting to be cool kind of freshman year, and that kind of like a disconnected on these different cold seasons, because there'll never be. My stepmama told me this, and shout out to Luke. Luke told me this earlier. He was on the couch, but my stepmama told me this first, and my pop and my dad, how we were just. There's gonna be a point in time where like that emotional, spiritual heart and that fire, it dies down within the moment. So what would you do in those moments? How do you keep that flame going within those moments where you stand on your word, where you turn and be there for the slip up when the enemy's waiting for you to slip up, when people are waiting for you to slip up, or you stay firm within your faith, where you stay strong-holded within God, assuring that he's holding your feet down, and now you're not dwindling and going back into what you used to be.
So, but I'll say for me, how I stood firm in my faith was just like getting rid of all the doubt that I had. That's one thing I had to do. I had to get rid of all the doubt. I had to rebuild my trust with God. That's one thing because I knew the stuff that I was doing, I kind of felt like I lost that trust with God. And the only way I could rebuild it is with rebuilding myself and get rid of all the negativity and all the things that weren't right for me, and building that trust back with Him. And then once I got that trust back, I kept the spark going. Even if I didn't like read my Bible as much, I'll still wake up and like pray, like silently just pray and have a conversation with Him. Even I still do it throughout this day, but still like come and have a conversation with Him as I'm walking to class, and like, okay, this is how I'm gonna tackle today. This is how I'm gonna accomplish this. This is how I basically just break down my schedule. It's just by having a conversation with God. And now that I've got that trust back, it brings me back to like sophomore year when I was leaving my apartment, and I felt like I was gonna pass out. Like I got halfway to class and my body just started overheating. And I'm like, I know it's hot outside. It's spring semester. I know it's hot, but it shouldn't feel like it's this hot.
For you to pass out. Right?
Yeah. And I was just like, there's no way. So I emailed my professor and told him that I didn't feel good because something was not right.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but as I'm leaving as I was leaving the architecture building, I stepped outside. I literally saw a spirit. I literally saw the spirit, and it kept and it was like a dark spirit, and I saw it, and it kept pulling me closer and closer. But me standing strong and me believing that I know I can do better, I know I can better myself and get back with God. I had to trust in my gut. I trusted my heart. I got rid of all the doubt. I was like, I'm gonna be okay. I said that as I walked all the way back to my room, and I had blurry vision, so I barely could see where I was going. I really felt like I was literally going to fall at any moment. And I was just like, thank God I made it back to my room. I got a cold towel, laid in my bed, and just drank water at least a cup of water, some more water. And I was just like, I woke up and I just started back going back to my regular school schedule, making sure I got my work done. And I just sat there for a little minute and realized dang, the devil tried to grab me not once, but twice in one day. And I was just like, you know what? Those the spirits of the people who I cut off that's saying that they not done with me, but I'm completely done with them, and they still trying to chase me.
Yeah, that's good.
And so I just let it go. And it just brings me back to say that if you just keep believing in God, pray however you pray. You could pray on your knees. You can talk to God by actually physically talking out your mouth. Or you can just pray in silence like I do. I pray in silence, but I also pray within my mind. I have conversations in my mind with God. I feel like that's the best way my connection can grow from here on out. Especially knowing that me not being able to go to church as much as I wanted to, me trying to get back into going to church as much as I want to.
Just church right now.
Yeah, basically.
Says to him, our person, he is in the midst.
Yeah, and so that's me being able to do that, me being able to have the conversation in my mind, and me just sitting there I could be looking into a blank space, and people would ask me you good? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. But of course I'm not gonna tell them I'm having a conversation with God, because that's between me and God. Everywhere I go and I'll go off there out in the blank space, I'm just having a conversation with God, and seeing His perspective of how I can basically handle things differently, how I can apply these things to my life to better myself.
And a verse, I want to stick with you and then we can wrap it up, is Luke 18:1. And he was talking to his disciples. They're asking what should we do, and I forget the context. But basically he responded with, always pray and never give up, because the worst will never be the worst with God on our side, and God continue to work with us, because he's working with you through all the ups, through all the trials, through the times where you almost passed out, through the times where you got caught out your name, through the times where people didn't think the highest of you, or to the times you didn't think the highest of yourself, to the times you think you didn't belong in church, to the times that you can't have no access to church, to the times where you almost got died in a car crash, to the times where you weren't supposed to be making it to this school year right now, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
God is still within you, and God is still pushing you. So always pray and never give up, because if there's a will, there's a way, and God's will always be done. Yahweh is better than no way. He makes a way out of no way through it all. Jehovah Jireh, He's a provider, and a God of grace and love and mercy that endures forever. And as long as you keep that within your heart and within your lips, you'll be prosperous, successful. Joshua 1:8 says, meditate on the word day and night, will be prosperous, successful, as long as you do the word and all that. So yes, pray, do all these different things, and make sure you know Him for Him, because we can know Jesus, but we can know of Jesus, but do we know Jesus at the end of the day, knowing that He is the only way to heaven, and the only way to salvation. It's not found in no law, it's not found in no pastor, it's not found in nobody else but Jesus Christ Himself. And I just want to say I'm proud of you, bro. I want to get up and hug you, gang. Like, through it all, through everything you've been through every trial, through every conversation that we had, every conversation that we didn't have, from me looking on the outside looking in, for you looking on the outside looking in, from us being this one right here. I'm proud of you, bro. Continue to keep going, keep your head up, gang. There's gonna be times when we fall down, there's gonna be times when we sit up and we don't know where we're going. But it's okay to not know everything planned out, because you know that God will make a way, and God's way will always be done, no matter what. No matter what we done. Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek His kingdom and His righteousness first, and everything will be added on to us." But added on to us in the way of His will, not our will. We may think, well, I want a new 2K, I want a new car and all different things, but God will humble us and put us in a position where we need to be. And He may give us FIFA and then give us a scooter to get around campus. It's all about trusting Him and His will, and knowing that He is a God that breaks no promises, and a God that does not fail, but always provides in the way that we need to provide. It's not what we want at the end of the day, but it's what we need, and He knows our needs, physically, spiritually, and mentally. So I'm proud of you, bro, for real. Appreciate you. I know, yeah.
I really need that.
Not for sure, bro.